Welcome to Training Tuesday. This is our second session. We already spent about 45 minutes working with Oliver and did a whole training session and then put him back out in the crowd so he could be with his pals. And guess who volunteered to come next and have a training session with us? So again, I'm just gonna let the camera run. If there's something that's happening that I think is important for you guys to know about, I will fill you in. Otherwise, we're gonna just start with grooming Donkey and see what kind of mood that he's in today. Handsome. Let's see if we can turn him around so that his cute face, people can see his cute face. Can we get up? Will you come here? We can throw it right there. And then I bet he'll make his way over to it. Now, when you're doing training with a donkey, you have to be very careful about how much you feed them, right? So we do have like 7 pieces of corn in this pan, and in an ideal world, I'd rather he didn't get any corn at all, but he did come for us. He's either unsure. So you just want to take your time with the animal. If it's an animal that is young and boisterous, they might be there like in your face all the time. And sometimes a more skittish animal or an animal with a more mellow personality like he has might just be slower, and that's okay, because again, it's all about building that relationship. You want to meet them where they are, that push and pull. So he was really slow to come and get that, even though that was corn, which you would think would be a super high motivator for him. While you're starting his grooming, I'm actually going to go refill the grain bag with just some hay pellets, because those are really low calorie, but will make him feel like he's getting a treat, and much more appropriate than the corn that we had available, that we were using on Oliver, which is a fine treat to use for a big thoroughbred horse like him that's hard to keep weight on. But for this little chunky donkey, we don't want him to have any more corn than he's already gotten through. How is he doing?
He's doing just fine. He hasn't even moved.
His eyes look a lot better. He was getting a lot of discharge in the corners of his eyes, and that has definitely gotten better. So allergies he was having to something. So now he's ducking and maybe thinking about moving. So now that I have pellets, I'm going to go ahead and give him some pellets. So you want to just take every opportunity that you can to just look over your animal really closely. He has a lot of dirt right here behind this ear, so I'm just going to make sure that's not a wound hiding underneath that dirt.
Yeah, he has something under his leg here too that's a little wound. That may be old though. It doesn't look recent.
Boy, they all are getting that.
I wonder if it's bloodlines up in there? Or they're getting into something?
They're getting cut on something out there. All of them are getting cut. So
What I'd like to know is how can he be dusty when he's wet? But he is.
okay, so trivia question for the day is, how can the donkey be dusty when he's wet? He was just out in a rainstorm. He's definitely a little bit damp, but he's still dusty. And that's the problem with working with animals. If they live outside, they're going to be maybe not as clean as we would like them if they were indoor pets. But maybe that'll change one day if we have a big indoor arena where we can keep them meticulously spotlessly clean. Oh boy. He's got swelling in that ankle. He's never had swelling in that ankle
Get your face in the middle. Nice soft brush.
Yeah, looks pretty good. So what we're doing here is part of what I would call the pre-flight check. So again, for positive reinforcement style, we are doing it with him loose, so no halter, no lead rope, not tied to anything. He has the choice to be here. He chose to walk in here. He can choose to walk out. Okay. We don't have a bunch of food in here to quote unquote bribe him with. He's here because he's just interested in getting out and doing something different. Maybe we'll get some fun training done that he'll find enjoyable too. And then we can give him some fun rewards. So we want training time to be fun time for these guys and really enriching and make their lives better. I think we should try and do some training first. Okay. And Miss Patty was just asking me about picking his feet, which we do need to do. But I think just like in the last session, what we're going to do, because we always want to be working on two behaviors at once, we'll work on the hoof lift, which is something that we're working on with all the horses to pick their feet up with basically just a very slight hand movement and a lift motion like that. And that's something you can definitely teach your horses how to do too. It just takes a little bit of time. And all of these animals are in different stages of that. And also, it depends on the weather. When it's really hot and like 85 degrees and the flies are bothering, they don't feel like doing a lot of things. But boy, when the weather cools off and we have that first frost, woo, boy, look out. We're gonna get some amazing pictures of some horses bucking and kicking and carrying on because they love that weather change. And that's just right around the corner here. Okay, so let's do some targeting. Okay. I don't know, have you ever targeted with him before?
That one time when Jen was riding, or Zed was riding.
Okay, let's see if we can get him to cross over this bunk. Okay, that'll be good for him. He says, "Oh, he's so big that somebody would put him eating this pan." Hold on, I'm gonna move the pan and we'll see if we can get him to target.
Can I have him just touch it once first?
Oh yeah, for sure, of course.
Can you touch it?
Good
boy. Do something easy first.
Oh yeah. Sure. And so that's one of the things I like about these hay pellets, at least in this environment here, is that I drop just one and I can pick it up. Because again, as much as possible, you don't want these guys to be having the opportunity to reward themselves. You want to keep all of your treats put away so that they only come out. Good boy. Good boy. All the way. Step, step.
Touch it.
Step. Good boy.
Good job.
That was very nice. That was so good. Oh, that was a good donkey. That was a good donkey, boy.
Let's go around and try again.
Yeah, let's see what else. This is probably the most exercise he's had in a week. He says, Miss Patty, I gotta chew first. Good.
That's the boy.
All the way.
Kevin. Oh. Come on.
Got a little stuck there. Anybody have any ideas on what's going on with the little stuckness? Part of it is because he's not really warmed up. we went from asking him to do addition to doing algebra, okay, because we were doing algebra with another course before that, boy. And then also he did just touch it, and he didn't get rewarded for that. Good. Okay.
Good boy.
You want to see what kind of mood they're in when you're first getting started, and give them a chance to have a warm-up to your training session. Good boy. But it's good for him. We need to get the Cavaletti in here so that he really has to pick up his legs. That's good exercise for him. Maybe see if you can get him to go the other direction.
Let's come out here. It's easier to turn around out here. Come here. Come this way.
He's really slow to respond. That's okay. This is also one of the very first times that he's ever had a training session with Miss Patty doing all this targeting. So he's got to figure her out a little bit and decide if he wants to interact with her that much. Good. And I would say that he's not moving now because moving for you those 3-4 steps was a big deal for him, and he didn't get any acknowledgement. He didn't get any like good boy or anything.
So shall I let him touch it and give him some petting? Your donkey. Touch it. Can you touch it? Good boy.
Yeah, so I think that's why he slowed down and stopped, because he's like, hey, I'm not really walking for you, and now I did. Remember, with positive reinforcement, this animal only really has 2 responses. It's either yes or no. Either yes, I'm willing to do it, or no, I'm not. And if we're in a training session like this, where he's here on his own free will,
Good boy.
I do like for them to be constantly asked the question,
Touch it. Good job.
yes or no, on a variety of subjects, because that is how you're going to build that relationship, because you're actually building a language, right? You're having conversation with them. So having conversation with them is how you build that relationship. It doesn't matter
Let's
if
go around
it's
one more time.
a horse, a coworker, your spouse, your child. It doesn't matter. Communication builds trust. And what we're doing is we're doing a lot of communicating, a lot of yes and no, where he has the choice to say yes or no. And if he says no, it's our job to make ourselves more interesting, more exciting, not as boring, not as scary, not as demanding, whatever the case may be that is stopping the animal from responding to our requests.
Let's touch it. Can you touch it? Touch it.
Good
boy.
So I would say no food.
And we'll go.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, and why don't we do? I'm gonna have you do just like one step, touch it, give him a pet.
Okay.
One step, touch it, give it a pet. Let's break it down really simple, because he's definitely showing a lot of reluctance.
Yes.
So he's not running away, and he's not throwing his head up high and scared to death and running off and all that. But he's certainly not super convinced
Over here with the head.
that this is the most fun afternoon that he's had in a long time. So if that's the case, we have to do something as the trainers to make it so that it's fun and exciting for him. And he doesn't get to eat free food. If he wants his free time, he can have his free time back in the We're not gonna stand around
And let it
and just watch him eat.
Good boy.
Okay, and especially because
Now.
especially we're not doing that because he's slightly overweight. He really needs some exercise. Part of this slow behavior that he has is definitely not really super healthy for him. Right? We would like for him to get more movement, more mobility. That's why I'm so appreciative of having trainers like Miss Patty here, who's coming to help us work with these animals and make sure they all get good positive reinforcement exercise.
Good boy.
So the thing is that having him turn to the right is definitely more difficult than having him turn to the left, right? Because we've got against the wall, there's buckets and brushes and multicolored things. This direction is more wide open. So I would say if she asks twice and he doesn't respond, I think the response would be to try to walk him to the left. But he did touch it, so that's really good. But he's certainly not moving that direction. He's not following her. So I think we're going to have her move this way, where the way is a little bit more open, and he might be a little bit more willing to come forward. And move his little feet and get a little exercise.
Move your feet.
Good boy. So I'm going to give him a little treat that time because you had him touch it, what, about 5 or 6 times?
Yeah, 2 or 3 times.
2 or 3
And
times.
he got just a pet.
And he got just a pet. So when it comes to rewards, keep in mind that rewards are going to be random. Just like with people playing slot machines or playing lottery, it's very exciting to put your money in. And did I win? Oh no. But maybe I will this time. Put the money in. Oh man. And so having that where you put the money in and hit it and you won. That randomness is a great training tool that we can use. And so that's what we're going to do. Not
Good boy.
because I have rain on me, but I was talking into the camera, wasn't paying attention to him, didn't ask him to do anything, so I'm certainly not going to reward him with food because I wasn't even having a conversation with him. In fact, you could look at it this way, he was being rude because he was having a nice conversation with Miss Patty and then he just blew her off to come talk to me, okay? And so we don't like friends that blow us off. We certainly don't give them rewards when they blow us off, right? We want to interact with people that want to interact with us. So we're going to continue to watch this session here while she does a really great job. It's a building blocks. It's the first time she's really done a training session like this with Donkey. So it'll be really easy to see. It'll be really interesting to see how, as the weeks progress, if he starts to be more willing to be engaged and interactive.
I think he's ready to do something else. I've asked him 3 or 4 times and he won't.
Okay. We could do something. So with him, because he is so mellow and has such strong energy to stay in one spot, we really have to do something big and dramatic to get his energy up. So one of the things that I like to do in a situation like that is it's a good time to get out the hula hoops.
Sounds like that.
So if your horse, or donkey in this case, is showing interest in wanting to interact, but just also, they don't want to leave, but they're also not super interested in what you're asking, one of the things you can do is something just really out of the box to see if you can wake them up and to get them more engaged with you. And so one of the ways that we can do that is with hula hoops. So how do you know how to hula hoop?
Probably not for a whole lot of years. Let's try.
Donkey's
Donkey's going.
said, all of a sudden Donkey's speaking mood.
He said,
And that's okay. That's okay. Because I would rather him get his heart rate up a little bit. I'm not trying to scare him. Hopefully he'll come back. And if not, then we know that hula hooping was too much for him today. And that's okay. But he's been around hula hoops before. It's just been a little while. And maybe it was because it was 2 hula hoops. Maybe it's because...
me with the hula hoop.
Yeah,
He's
lots
not
and lots
used
of
to
things. Maybe if I just brought one out and held it like this and had him put his head through it or something like that, we could have played a game like that. It would have been way less stressful.
Are you going to come back?
So again, the important thing to remember is that we're not forcing it. We're not going to go to put a halter and lead rope on him and try to make him come back here. We're going to give him an option to come back, except for he's getting into trouble.
What's he doing? Yeah, there's not much room to turn around or anything.
Okay, so he got himself in trouble and I had to remove him from the training area, so that's okay. So what we're gonna do is pause the video and see if we can get somebody else to come and hang out with us. Oh, actually, he's back at the gate. He went right around outside and came right back to the gate. He's like, I wasn't done. Are you guys kidding me? So that's our, I'm glad I didn't turn the camera off. Come on, dog. Come here, buddy. Come here. Good boy. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. There's my boy. Good boy. I'm so proud of you. That was so sweet. That was such a nice boy.
So you just had to take a little holiday first, huh?
He says, how about just one? He'll move you guys. Good boy. Good boy. All right. All right. Are you scared of this thing? You want to just touch this? He looks pretty scared of it. He has not seen one in quite a while, and so that's okay. But again, I think it's all right to introduce something like this because of the fact that he was so slow, lethargic, walking around here. I really wanted to get something that would get his energy up. All right, his head's down the little line, so that's why I know it's okay to go ahead and continue. And so this is perfect of how to merge two safety circles, right? This is the perfect picture of what exactly you're looking for when you're merging two safety circles is you come forward gently. He says, no, I don't want that. So I back off. And ask him, would you like to touch it? It's okay. I'll leave you a treat if you touch it. Good boy. Just want to know it's not going to hurt you. Very
Good boy.
Good, great boy. Do you want to hand him, do you want to give him a little snack from me? Finish eating. He's going to sniffle the ground and look for anything else to do other than this hula hoop. Which, if that's true, then I might just do this. And so he's still sniffling the ground, eating, and now he's leaving because he said, "What? That's too much." And so that's okay. So it's not right or wrong. It's just a matter of dancing with them and figuring out where is the point where you push them to the point where they say not only no, but they say, heck no, no way, I am not doing that. So we need to go down there and make sure he doesn't get himself in trouble again. We gotta find the target. Good boy. So all we did was block him from getting into that space where he could get hurt. And then he came right back. So that tells me he wasn't that traumatized. So therefore I'm gonna keep working on this because leading him around the room was painfully boring for him. We wanna challenge him to something new. And so Miss Pat is coming with the hula hoop again. And I'm gonna get the pointer as well. He says, I'm out, y'all. Check you later.
Sorry, that ramping is not cutting it.
Yeah, I don't want to play with that thing. But I'm not sure what else we have that we can play with. That might be interesting for him. We have the cones. We have the balls. He hasn't shown any interest in cones or balls, but we could try to see if we can get him interested in a cone or ball. He was certainly interested in the pan. Maybe we could start teaching him to pick the pan up. But considering that was, what, the second time that he has booked out of here, I think we'll put the hula hoop aside and respect his wishes on that and see if we can get him to play with something else. Okay, so good. So he came back not too traumatized, but let's see if we can find one of these other objects that might get him interested, that he might want to play with, so we can teach him to do something new. So you have the pointer. Let's see, start with that. Because he is pointing, he's just doing it extremely lethargically. Can we touch it? Oh, nice step over. That's a nice step. Over here. Good step. Good. So I like that. So I was actually getting him to do a little side pass there. And so that was what I was looking for, was trying to get really for him some movement out of this little guy so that he is getting some exercise. Silence this way. He says, nope, I want to pan. And what we could do is we could offer him the pan and see if he might pick it up. Want to pick it up? Pick up the pan? I'm touching it. You want to pick it up? Okay, side pass this way, please. Over here. Feet over. Good. Cross. Good. Right here. One more time. He says, no, I didn't, and you didn't respond. So it just goes to show you that every animal is going to be a little bit different on what they're going to tolerate and what they're going to expect. And so you have to be the smarter one and try to figure out how to interact with them in a way that makes you very interesting and engaging to them, that they want to spend time with you. So, we can do this. Husbandry behavior. And lift. Very good. Okay, you don't want to lift that one. Send it over here. Oh, very nice. So picking up their front feet is certainly way easier than their back feet. Everybody's, it's their first easier with the front feet. But that's nice. Down, pick it. Very nice. Good boy. Can you give me a little sack? Sure. So even though we didn't get all 4 feet picked, he handed me the first two, the front two, perfectly, with very little ask. He just handed them right to me and he held it very gently for me. He was really good. So keep in mind, when you're teaching your horse hoof lift, it's way easier for them to give their front feet to you than their back feet. Their back feet is really their defense, more so than their front feet. And so they really have to have a lot of trust with you and a lot of motivation with you in order to pick up the back foot. So if it takes you some time and you're having good success with the front, but haven't quite gotten them to pick up easily on the back, just keep working at it. It takes a little time, but as you continue to build on your relationship with them, it will get easier and easier. So that was great. Okay, and again, since he's standing here, that's super interested in doing a lot of training and touching and things like that. So instead we can shift to more husbandry behavior. So he did good with that. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good. So now what I'd like to do is flush his mouth out with a dental rinse. Okay, this is this special equine banana flavored dental rinse. And all horses really should learn to have their mouths flushed with this. Good boy. And also because it prepares them for dewormer or medications or anything like that. Good boy. Can you give him a little snack? Sure, thank you. So I had never done this with him before, and just the fact that he was willing to come over here and sniff the syringe and touch it is enough for me to want to go ahead and give him a reward. I don't want to just after that ignore that and grab his face and shove this thing on there, right? Because then he's really not going to be happy with me or have trust with me. So what you're seeing right here, what you're seeing with him right here is him really struggling a little bit to have a trusting relationship with either one of us at the moment. Whether it's because it's the heat or the flies or the day of the week or because it's been a while since he's been in here and done any kind of target training or any kind of training like this. He's certainly struggling a little bit, and that's okay. There's no reason to have any ego about it. There's no reason to be like, well, that stupid idiot, he was fine 2 weeks ago. Today he doesn't want to do anything. There's something that is happening that you're just not aware of that's causing them to behave that way. So we have to just keep ourselves really calm and centered and really try to think about what it is and make ourselves more interesting. And why is that? Because this animal has no choice ultimately about being here. He has no choice about where he lives. He has no choice about what corral he lives behind, what he's fed, who he has to live with, what he is required to do. So when animals don't have a choice because we choose to keep them in captivity, then it's our responsibility to be as kind to them as possible. And the kindest way that we can treat them is with positive reinforcement and all things as much as possible, safety first, so that they can have a choice in the matter. Flush him out. Now always talk to him, tell him what I'm doing too. And so I'm just gonna have his little face very gentle. And the only reason that I gently cupped his face before I injected into his mouth in just a little bit is because if I just come at him like that, it's much easier for him to go, oh, what's that? And throw his head up, and then we've created a whole drama that we didn't need to have. So it's better to, if you can, if everything's calm and you feel safe to do too, when you're very first doing something like that, is cradle them, hold them. It's like hold your hand. It's like with your friend. If you were going to the hospital with your friend and they were about to get an injection, you would hold her hand. And before that, you would hold her hand even harder just to be there for them. And so that's the same thing that you want to do. And obviously he doesn't mind the taste of this stuff. So let's do the other, flush the other sides now.
Is he saying, I don't know?
Do you want to know it? So I'm gonna just hold in very, very gently. Slide that ribbon in there. Oh, that's a good boy. That's a good boy. Thank you. That was a really good boy. So it's really good for them to learn how to tolerate getting their mouth flushed for their dental health. Again, or also if you're going to give them a dewormer or anything like that. So I'm very proud of him for that. But the thing is now, because we flushed his mouth out, probably, it's almost like brushing his teeth, we probably should have given him more candy. Yeah, good boy. So I think we'll just massage him and love on him and maybe give it some thought. Do some things that we can do for him to get him more engaged. Maybe he'll be more engaged next time.
Yeah.
Maybe we can bring different, maybe we could fill syringes with different flavored things.
See what he likes best?
Because he doesn't seem to mind
No.
doing that. That seemed fun for him. So maybe we could do like orange juice in one, or I mean apple juice in one. I wouldn't do orange juice. I don't think, but apple juice and maybe just water, and I don't know, that might be fun. So really when it comes to training, and especially if you're trying to work on round things besides just working towards writing, if you're working on relationship building, you really want to have several different activities to work on at the same time. Well, he's going to get a massage now.
What do you think about this?
That's pretty good for him. You want a massage, buddy? He says, I just want to be loved, you guys. I just want to be loved. He goes, I'm fine to hang out with you and do nothing and just get pets.
He seems to really like this. Oliver doesn't like this too much, but he seems like he really does.
Me.
Engaged his muscles back here a little bit.
Oh, he did?
And lifted up when I could feel him left. That's good for him.
He's good for him.
Yeah, I didn't spray him. The flies didn't seem too bad when we first came in, so I did not spray him then. He probably needs it.
Spray, good boy. Good boy, spray. So I missed my opportunity to reward him for doing the first 3 legs really good. Can I finish, please? Okay, sorry. Good boy. So for our purposes of trying to get him to interact with us in a game or playful manner, it feels maybe a little bit discouraging because we're not getting him to really engage with us. But I want to remind you that this is exactly when, if you were going to ride him, he's ready, right? He's ready for that. He's still here. He hasn't left. He's still nice and relaxed. He may not like all the games that we have presented to him at the moment. Good boy. But he certainly still wants to have some interaction. And so this would be the perfect time to actually go ahead and do riding training if that is what you wanted to do today. So the next step would be to put the saddle on and put the bridle on, see if he still stays nice and relaxed, maybe take him out to a round pen or something like that. Try to do some more targeting in both directions to see if he still stays relaxed with that. And then you would know that he has passed what I call the pre-flight check, which means that he is ready for you to potentially risk your life on it. There's obviously no guarantees, but the safest way to make sure that you're likely to have a good experience is if your animal is in this state of mind, nose down below the line, nice and relaxed, wanting to be engaged with you, maybe even almost half asleep. That's great, because that is going to keep you safe. Now, if you need him to be a jumper and go over a 6-foot fence, that might be a different story altogether and require a totally different kind of training. But what we're doing here is relationship building. And if you really want to build a relationship with your animal, letting them have a choice in everything that they do is critical to building that relationship. So I think we're going to just massage and rub on him a little bit more, and probably do enough with him. That'll probably be enough for him for today, for one day. And tune in next time, because we'll see, just because he hasn't had very many of these sessions. So it'll be interesting to see if, as he starts to get more comfortable, more familiar with coming in here, if we can teach him to do some other neat things. So if this has been a helpful training video to you, please like this video, subscribe down below, consider donating to the ResqRanch, and also please leave your comments and leave your questions and post your videos of your own training issues, and we can talk about them right here, because I'm Dr. Q, here to help you have the most amazing relationship with all of the animals in your life. Thanks so much for tuning in.